Robert Jenrick has joined Reform. Let's analyse what this means. Firstly, I think that Kemi Badenoch did the right thing doing this when she became aware that he was going to defect.
This morning, I removed the Conservative whip from Robert Jenrick after dismissing him from the shadow cabinet. I was very sorry to be presented with clear, irrefutable evidence, not just that he was preparing to defect, but he was planning to do so in the most damaging way possible to the Conservative Party and his shadow cabinet colleagues.
Look, she didn't have a choice. She showed leadership and guts, fair play. But what does it mean for the Tories? Well, the fact is, they are now a much weaker party. Robert Jenrick was the most popular top Tory by a long way. They've lost him, and there's no tightening that up, really. Kemi got off to a bad start. She was useless in Parliament initially. Do you remember the day when the farmers were protesting outside? She didn't even ask a single question about it at PMQs. Approximately 30% of members who voted for her in the 2024 leadership race now don't want her to lead them into the next election. She's rallied recently, but is it enough? Are they dying before our eyes? What does it mean for Labour? Well, they've jumped on it. They've put out clips like this.
Jenrick, this man is a fraud. This man is not to be trusted.
I don't think Nigel is the bloke that you want to have running your kids' schools or running your local hospital or trust your savings, your pension, your small business to.
I mean, there's another clip of him saying he wouldn't trust Nigel to run a five-a-side team that's emerged this evening as well. The reality is this, though. Sir Keir Starmer is the most unpopular PM in history. His own MPs don't like him. He's predicted to lose his own seat, and he's resorting to cancelling local elections for 4 million people to avoid getting the kind of spanking that deviants normally pay for in Soho at the local elections. Let's be honest, he's toast. The Tories' top man joining the party likely to replace him is bad for Labour. Jenrick's defection is bad for Starmer. But what does it mean for Reform? Well, here's the positives. They've pinched the most popular Tory. They now have a potential successor to Nigel Farage. It tells everyone on the right that they need to vote for Nigel. He knows where all the bodies are buried in the Tories. Bit like this.
Recent shadow cabinet debate. A conversation broke out. The question was put to the group, is Britain broken? I said instinctively, it's broken. Almost everyone said, it's not broken. And we were told, that is the party line. A few had a third position. It is broken, but we can't say so, because the Conservative Party broke it.
Expect a lot more of that in the coming weeks and months. Let's look at some of the potential negatives from Robert Jenrick's defection, shall we? Is it too many Tories? Nigel only unveiled Nadeem Zahawi a few days ago, a bloke who in the past said he would be frightened to live in a country run by Farage. Is Reform's head of policy, Zia Youssef, actually in favour of Jenrick coming on board?
Zia feels utterly betrayed by the 2019 Conservative government, and he wears it on his sleeve, and he pretty much tends to blame every single human being that was involved in it, but I'm teaching him the values of forgiveness.
Will there have to be a by-election? Well, by the way, if there was, Robert Jenrick would probably emerge with the safest seat in the country. Remarkable stats here that you're looking at on your screens now. The predictions are that 97% of people in his constituency would vote for either the Tories or Reform. So I think he's safe, really. But one of the negatives is that it looked a little bit farcical today.
Changed his mind, has he? We can't find him. Do we play music now, or what are we doing? No. OK, folks, don't worry. I just had the thumbs up. He hasn't changed his mind. Kemi hasn't called him and asked him back.
Robert Jenrick's track record on immigration is probably going to annoy a lot of reformers. Migrant hotels welcoming Afghans. Look, he says he's made mistakes. He's apologised. He's changed. He's a new man. And actually, he was a lot stronger than a lot of the other Tories. But what does it mean for the country, for us, for all of us? Reform are winning, OK? They've led the last 200 or so opinion polls. My feeling, my gut feeling, is that Nadeem Zahawi was a mistake. but Robert Jenrick is a win. Today, Nigel put a time limit on further defections.
May the 7th, folks, if you're in Parliament, is the deadline. If you're coming to us, do it before May the 7th. We don't want you after that.
Well, watch this space then.
Hello, I'm Bev Turner. Now, it can feel like the money in our bank accounts at the moment does not keep up with the cost of living, and maybe there's a solution. I'm here today with the CEO of TallyMoney, Cameron Parry. Cameron, what is TallyMoney?
Well, Bev, with TallyMoney, you get a current account and a debit card, but instead of pounds, you use milligrams of gold as your everyday money.
So why gold?
Gold traditionally is a great store of value. It has, on average, gone up at over 11% per annum for the last 25 years against the pound. It's tripled in value in the last decade. And in the last 2 years alone, it's increased by 50% against the pound. Banks' savings products just can't compete with that level of growth.
But this isn't just about gold. This is about a currency that you guys have created at TallyMoney. Explain it to me as though I'm an idiot.
So, look, people need to be able to hold their earnings and build their savings in a money that retains its value and remains in their legal control and remains theirs to access, away from government control.
Great. You had me at not exposed to government control.
You should feel safe and happy with your money. You should have peace of mind the more money you see in your bank balance, and that's the type of thing we're trying to deliver, and give people choice in the type of money they get to use every day.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Cameron. Thank you.
Let's get thoughts of my political panel this evening. We are joined by political commentator Emma Webb, Tory peer Lord Bailey, former Labour advisor Matthew Larser, and a late addition to this panel in light of today's breaking news, Reform UK councillor Jamie McIver. And Jamie, it's you I will start with first, please. Happy Bunny?
Yeah, I'm thrilled for the party. I think this is a huge moment actually in British politics. I think today the time of death of the Conservative Party was about 4:45 on the 15th of January 2026. The most popular member of the Conservative Party has joined Reform, and also Nigel announced his deadline for defections to our party, which I know will be welcomed by many members and indeed voters who do not want to see anything like a repeat of the last 30 years where you have politicians with broken promises. So I'm really delighted for my colleagues at Reform, and I'm also delighted for Robert Jenrick. As someone that joined the party myself, I know that he's now in for fun in politics finally, because it's a miserable place, the Conservative Party.
Sean, you were pulling a face through some of that. What's going on?
There's a great difference between Jamie, who's a good chap, and we regret you going, but you're welcome to Robert. Let's be very clear. If you listen to Robert's speech, all of those things that were said in his speech, they happened before he joined the shadow cabinet. I only highlight that to you because that shows you that this is a staggering piece of ambition. And if I was Nigel, I wouldn't turn my back on him. Because the point is, if he's so outraged about what went on, why did he join the shadow cabinet? And I used to praise Robert Jenrick because when he went for leader, he didn't do any sort of, sniping and all the rest of it. He went fair and square, but it turns out he's a very sore loser. The party wanted Kemi, they didn't want him, and he's done this for himself. And what Reform will find, this was someone who was quite frankly, in Tory world, was almost seen as he was a wet. He was quite frankly a lefty. Now all of a sudden he's Nigel's right-hand man. All of this is about Robert, which is unfortunate. And the thing about Kemi, which I think is important in relation to his speech, is she has fessed up and said the party did things wrong. I'll always tell you that. And she is the person to change those things. Robert never was and never will, because he will not stick to his guns. He has no real belief. It's all about Robert.
One of the things that Robert Jenrick pointed out in his speech was that he said that there was a shadow cabinet meeting that took place few days ago. They were asked about whether or not they thought Britain was broken. Only two of them, I think he said, thought it was. The rest of them basically thought that everything was OK, or they thought it was broken, but they couldn't admit it because the Tories broke it. He also said that 2/3 of the Tory MPs don't actually want to leave the ECHR, therefore he had to leave. Do you think it's the right decision?
It's probably the right decision for him. I think, for the same reason that I also resigned my membership of the Conservative Party, moved over to Reform. I understand the reasoning. I think the Conservative Party is past it. I think many people are looking at it and thinking, it's dead. This thing can't be revived. It's gone too far. We've sort of got to the period of time of the grace period. And now it is effectively over. I think the thing is, though, that although I do think that Robert Jenrick is probably a very ambitious man, I'm sure you know better than I do, for him to then go and join the shadow cabinet, I don't think is suspect. If he really seriously and sincerely wanted to try and make a difference, to try and help get the Conservative Party back on its feet, that would be the right thing to do. I actually think probably what Kemi should have done is made him her shadow chancellor and kept him close, rather than putting him in a more minor position, alienating him, letting him going out doing all of these videos. So, I understand why he's made this move. Whether this is a good thing for reform or not, I'm not entirely sure, because I think that there are people who have pointed out quite fairly that they don't want the Reform Party to become Tory 2.0.
OK, what's the Labour view on this, Matthew? Because I'm kind of trying to get my head around how this really affects Labour. I mean, it's the most popular Tory, he's gone to reform, but, Keir's toast anyway, isn't it?
Look, I think at 4:45 this afternoon, reform started to die because they're trying to, just as Robert Jenrick's a fraud, who was elected to Parliament as a massive David Cameron supporter and had a convenient political journey. What we saw today is what some of us have been saying for a long time, that all this is the same old Tory party with a different colour blue. Second in a week, Jamie. You can't pull the wool over the British people's eyes anymore. You're an ex-Tory. Tory.
It's a very comical position for you to take. You're meant to be representing the Labour Party and having a Labour government. You've done the opposite to what socialists would want to do. You've attacked the most vulnerable people in society with almost every decision you've done.
Robert Jenrick?
No, I'm talking about your government.
We're not here to talk about the record of the Labour government. But your party is just the Tories with a different coloured logo.
Quite clearly it's not, because there's nearly 300,000 members. But more to the point...
How many of your MPs are
more to the point, I think
40% of your parliamentary party?
Sean raised a very interesting point about ambition. And actually, I want the next government of this country to be ambitious, to save the country. The country
your party spends its time slacking the country. Your leader goes to America to talk Britain down. That whole speech of Jamie was about talking Britain down. Some of us believe in Britain. You believe in attacking Britain, which is what Nigel Farage does. Week in, week out, he bashes Britain. I believe in Britain.
And
to be fair, so does Sean and the Tories.
Right, guys, can we stop talking over each other, please? Do you believe that he has had this dramatic conversion, Robert Jenrick? Do you believe it?
I genuinely believe that he wants to save this country like anyone that cares about this country.
Why did he say that?
I believe every word of his speech. I believe every word.
Why did you believe it? So should we believe his word when he said on the audio that's been released today?
Cut you off at the pass there, because a load of people in Labour supported Jeremy Corbyn, and now they're not his friend. So you need to
not people.
They wanted a second referendum. They didn't want a second referendum.
No, we went into an election